Good morning, grade 9s. So today we're going to do lesson 7.4, and this is set on solving the different types of similar triangle problems that you can get. I'm going to try a new method of input here. I got a new stylus, so we'll see how that works today. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is in 7.3, we were trying to figure out how to make sure things are similar. Because, as I told you, if something's similar, then you can use it to solve problems and find unknowns. So we're just going to do a quick review of how to make sure you've got the matching of the sides and angles up correctly. All right. So let's take a look at these two right here. They are different sizes. The question I want to know is, are they proportional? Are they similar? And to do that, what you have to do is you'd have to match them up. Now, if I told you they were similar, you still have to be able to match things up, right? So what I'm going to do is, if you take a look here, this one here is RQ. Now, if you want to match it up, what you do is you put a single line through it like that. And then over here, you put another single line through this one because DF and QR are the same thing. Now, this one here, to show that it's different than this one, you have to put 2. Of course, that matches with this one right here with 2. Now down at the bottom, you've got to put 3. And over here, it also has 3. Now, the angles, to show a different angle, you can use a dot, and that one matches with that one. You can use 2 dots if you wish, and that matches with this one. Or if you want, you can use what's called an arc, and that's like this. Now, these are oriented the same, so matching up the matching sides makes it very, very easy. So all we have to do now is, it says down here, name the corresponding angles and the corresponding sides. So I'm just going to do it over here. Let's do the sides first. All right, so we've got QR, that's over here, and that's a single. So the other single is right here, DF. So QR is equal to DF. Now the double one is QS, and that's equal to the other double, which is DE. And down here, let me get that fixed up. And the last one is the triple, and that's RS, and that is equal to FE. Right? Now, the angles, to match them up, we know that Q and angle D work together. So for the angles down here, we have angle D, and that equals to angle Q. We have angle E, and that is equal to angle S. And we have angle F, and that is equal to angle R. Right. Now notice how I've done these. When I'm doing sides, you'll notice that I have 2 letters, D and F, and that equates to D and F. So I'm talking, when I say DF, I'm talking about this side right here. Okay? Now you could have put down FD, it's the same thing. Right? But in order to match things up, this is important, because if this is one of your unknowns, right, then you'd have to be able to use that and match it to this one, or you couldn't solve it. That's why it's so important for us to be able to match things up. Okay, turning the page, you'll notice that this one here, the 2 triangles, are not oriented, so it's easy to tell which is which. So the first thing you should probably pull out is a ruler or a protractor. The ruler is a little bit easier, and measure the angles and be sure. But sometimes there's some shortcuts that you can take. For example, if you look at this, it's quite obvious that S is the smallest angle in this triangle. Now, since these are similar, we've got to find the smallest one here, and that's that one right there. Now the next thing I'm going to look at is, okay, which one here looks closest to 90? Well, that's obviously R. And over here, which one's closest to 90? That's B. So I've got a double dot there. And that leaves me with 3 right here, which matches up with these 3 here. So now that I know these are all set up and the angles are all equal, I can use the angles to identify what the sides are. So 1 to a 2 is that side, and 1 to a 2 is that side. So RS is equal to AB. 2, 3, and 2, 3, that means that RQ is equal to BC. And of course, the third one is the one that's left. So now that we've got all those written down and marked, now we can take and write down what things are here. So let's take a look at the first one. We're going to do the angles. We know that angle S, that's a single, that's equal to angle A. And the double dot is angle R, and that's equal to angle B, which is the double dot over here. All right. And angle Q is a triple, and that works out with angle C right there. All right. So we've got the angles all done. That's good. Let's look at the size. Now, the 1 prime mark and the 1 prime mark mean that RS, side RS, is equal to AB. And then the double is RQ, and that's equal to the double on the second diagram, which is CB. And of course, the third one is QS, and that is equal to the third one on the right, which is AC. So that's how you do it. Right? So sometimes it's helpful if you use a ruler. If you can't do it by just looking at it. Now, this one here is one you're going to encounter quite a bit. Right. Now, the thing I'm going to do first is I'm going to prove to you what sides match, and then when I've done that, I'm going to actually show you how it's a shortcut, okay? So I know that this triangle right here, right? And I know that it can take this one, and I can move it around, and I can set it inside the first one, right here. And you notice it matches up perfectly. Okay? So that means that angle E and B are equal. So I could put that down if I wanted. Over here, angle E. Let's go over the side over here. So angle E is equal to angle B. We know that the two angles C's are equal, right? Because you can see that that angle there and this angle over here are equal. So angle C equals angle C. And of course, angle at A is going to equal the angle at, and this is upside down, right? So that's going to be a D. Okay. Now, if you take a look at the sides that match, right, we know that AB right here, that's that side, that matches up with ED. So side AB is equal to side ED. Right? Now we know here that not these two here, that BC, which is from here to here, the big triangle, so we know that BC is equal to the small one, which is C, and that's an E there, so this is CE. And that leaves us with the big ones going sideways, so I know that AC is equal to CD. And that's right here, that's a D. Now, the thing I want you to look at is, let's go back here now and use these to put the marks on here to show how it actually works up. So we know that AB, so AB is there, right? That's a single hash mark. And this one here equal. BC and CE, so this is a double. And this is a double. And AC, this one here, is a triple. And over here is a triple. Now, taking a look at this, right, you should notice something, right? This line here matches with this line here, right? And this line here matches with this line here. And the last one, I don't know if I can get it, that one there matches with that one there. So if you notice, they're in a line, aren't they? This one here is in a line, and it matches with that one. So whenever you see something like this with a crossover, remember that the two that are in the same, which are, you know, on the same line, I guess, are the ones that are equal. So this one and this one. So I'm just going to take and erase all this so you can see it clearly. All right. So again, taking a look at this. This is on a straight line. So that one and that one. All right. We have this here is on a straight line. So that one and that one. And of course, the only thing left is this one and this one. Well, I guess I should put a double dot there to make it work out. All right. So you see how they work. It's fairly straightforward. And once you know that, then you can start solving this problem. And we'll show you how to do that after a bit. Okay. So, all right. Let's take a look at the next question. Now this is a different setup. You'll notice that I have triangles which are embedded in each other. All right. The one we did back here, these ones here were basically in line with each other. Then the ones up top were ones which were just spun. But this is a new one that you haven't seen yet. And that's with this right here. Now, in order to see the triangles, I'm going to pull them out so you could see them, right? And you'll notice right now how they match up. It's quite simple that this one here matches up with that one. This here matches up with this one. And this one here, the one on the side, over here, matches with that one. Right. The angles right here are the same. They both share angle A, so that's okay. And this one here is, since these two lines are parallel, we know that A and D are also equal. So I'll put an arc in each one. Actually, I'll put a double arc so we don't get confused. All right. So to list the matching sides, all right, let's take a look what we got here. We got the 1 and the 1, so BE is equal to CD. We know that AC is equal to AB. And the last one, AE, is equal to AD. And you could tell, you can see right here that, so what we have here is that this one here is equal to this one here. And this one here is equal to this one here. And of course, these two here are parallel, so that one and that one match up. So when you see something like this, this is how you're going to break them apart. And I encourage you to draw them. Separate them and draw them, because it makes it easier. If this is our x and these are numbers here, then it's very easy to make your connections that way. Okay. All right, let's look at the next one. Now, in this one, what's going to happen is we're actually going to solve it by making proportional problems. So it's very important that you make your matching correctly. Now, I've included with you an unmarked and an unmarked, a double arc and a double arc, and a single arc and a single arc. So you should be able to match up what's there. Now what I do to make things easier is I take a look, okay, that y is the double arc nothing. And over here the double arc nothing is 18. So I usually circle it and then I make a line across to y. So I know that those two go together. Right? I know that x is the single double, and that's here single double. So I know that x, I'll put that in a different color. X, that one lines up with 40. Okay, and that means that the next one I do, which I'll probably try this one here. I don't know what color that is. The 50, the single arc nothing, and the single arc nothing is that this one here and this one here, they match up. So now that I know all the matches, I can step up and I can start doing the actual solving. All right. Now we're going to try to find x first. Now, what you have to do is find out what x matches. Now remember, we got two triangles here. We've got a large one and we got a small one. And if you label them this way, you won't make a mistake. All right. Now my unknown x is in the small one. So whatever I want to do over here, I have to have small over large. So x is over 40. And I set that equal to a number that matches up. Now we know that here, the only other matching numbers which are 32 and 50. Now, since I'm doing small over large, I'm going to put the 32 over 50. So this is 32 over 50. So now that you have this, solving it is straightforward. So I want you to pause the recording, and I want you to actually solve this equation right here, this proportional problem. Okay, I need to get the x by itself. To get rid of the x, you have to look at what's happening to it. I'm dividing by 40. So in order to get 40 over 40, I've got to multiply it by the top by 40. So I've got x over 40, and I'll multiply that by 40. Whatever I do to the left side, right, I have to do to the right. So when you multiply the x over 40 times 40, these cancel. 32 over 50 times 40 gives you 25.6. Okay. Now over here, to find y, you have to match up the y with its knowing. So we know this is y, and it matches up with 18. So that's the one you know there. So y over 18. And again, we got to use the numbers that we know we have, which is 32 over 50. Now remember, y is in the large now, so it's going to be 50 over 32. Right? Because we're putting the large over small now. Okay. So having done that, we're looking at y over 18. Multiply that by 18, and that's equal to 50 over 32 times 18. Now 18 over 18 forms 1, so you get like a 1y, so we have 1y left over here. And 50 times 18 over 32 is 28.125. Okay, and we take a look at our units. We're not given any units, so we just use the word units. Same thing over here, units. Okay. Now don't forget that, because there's nothing here for centimeters or anything, so you have to do that. Okay, moving down to the next one. Now, where have you seen this before? Well, you saw it before when we did the embedded, right? So we have to do a little bit of this one here. I'll put the different colors here. Okay, so I'll take a blue and we'll use that one for the small one, right? So here's nice blue. Okay, we'll use black. Okay, and here's the other one over here. And it's the big one going like this, down to here and down to here. Come out. So first off, I'm going to start with the small one, and that looks like this. All right. And we know that that's 5 meters. On the bottom here is 30 meters. And this one here is unknown. Okay, and this is my small. Now my large one is the big triangle that everybody is, that this one is embedded into. So that means that this height here is h, and this length here, we don't know what it is. That's unknown. But the bottom is 20 for that part right there, plus 30. See how it starts here? There's 20, and there's 30. So in fact, this down here is actually 50. So now to solve it, you have to match out what goes with what. Well, we know that this 5 and this h go together, all right? And we know that 30 and 50 go together. So doing that, let's just go down here. I've got some room. So I want to have I'm going to be putting the h over 5, and that's going to be equal to 50 over 30. Now remember, I'm doing the large here over the small. So now I got to multiply everything over here by, sorry, h for 5, to multiply that by 5 to get rid of the 5 on the bottom. All right, and that means that over here I have 50 over 30 times 5, right? So that means when I do the math, the two 5s on the left-hand side, they're going to cancel out down here. Okay, and of course that leaves me with just h. And if I can extend this, here we go. And of course, 550 over 30 times 5 is 8.3. All right, so our building here is 8.3 meters. Okay. Now I think it says here in the actual question to round to the nearest tenth. That's why I didn't keep all the rest of the decimals that were here. All right. Okay, this is another embedded question, and this one here is fairly tricky. You'll see what happens when we do this one. All right, so taking a look at this, we've got two triangles again. So I'm going to be using, I'll use blue again, but they have this triangle here, right there, all right? And then I have the larger triangle right here, okay? So having done that, let's go over here and we'll build what we've got over in this side over here. So I've got 40 and the width here, I'll call that x. All right, so I'm going to put the large over the small. So I'm going to be putting x over 40. And that's going to be equal to, the extra big size one is 24 plus 32. And that's over top of the 32, because that's the small one. See, I'm doing large over small. So these have to be the large ones, these ones have to be the small ones. So when you put 24 and 32 together, you get 56 over 32. And on the left side over here, I still have x over 40. So now I want you to pause the recording and I want you to solve that. Okay, well, let's take a look. We've got to get rid of the 40. It's in the denominator, so somehow I got to make 40 over 40. So I got to multiply the top by 40. So I've got x over 40 times 40, and that is equal to 56 over 32 times 40. Okay, now these cancel, leaving me with 1x or just x. And 56 times 32, 56 divided by 32 times 40 is 70, and we are working in meters. So the pond is 70 meters. Hopefully that's what you got. Now we saw earlier that when you see a crossover like this, that we have certain pieces which match up, right? So we know that this x matches up with this 26. We know that this 22 matches up with the same line of y. And that just leaves the last two, which are pretty straightforward. They are the 10 and the 20. So we want to find the value of x. So what we do here is we got to take and put, this is the large here, and this is the small. So I'm going to be putting small over large because that's where my x is. It's on this side. So x matches up with 26. So I'm going to put x over 26. And of course, I have to find the two numbers that match, and that's the 10 and the 20. Since I'm doing small over large, this becomes 10 over 20. So now to solve this, I've got to get rid of the 26. So I want you to pause recording, and I want you to solve this question. All right. So I've got x over 26. To get rid of the 26, I've got to multiply by 26. 26 over 26 cancels, leaving me with just the x left over. Now 10 over 20 also has to be multiplied by 26. And 10 over 20 times 26 is 13. So we know that x is equal to 13. Now, taking a look at the next slide, over here, I want you to solve for y by yourself. So pause the recording and you find y. Okay. Well, first thing you need to do is we've got y is over on the small one right here, so it's y over 22. And then we use the same numbers that we did over here, right? And that's 10 over 20. So y over 22 equals 10 over 20. So y over 22, to get rid of the 22, you got to multiply by 22. Whatever you do to the left side, you have to do to the right. So 22 times 22, they cancel out. And 10 over 20 times 22 means that you get y equal to 11. All right? Now, turning the page. This time, I want you to solve the question yourself. So read the problem and figure out what it is. I want you to do the whole thing by yourself. All right? So pause the recording and do that. All right. Well, it says here that the anchor is connected to a 30-meter cable. Okay, so from here to there is 30 meters. Okay, so just for information, if that's 1.8, that means that this one over here is going to have to be 28.2, right? So that's got to be 28.2 because that's 30 minus 1.8. Now, having done that, now that I know this, and I know that matches up with that, and I know this is 0.8 meters, it's obviously not to scale, all right? Now I can start setting up the question. So I have to set up this depth, x, to that one. It matches up, so that is x over 0.8. And I know that the things on the same line, they match up. So this is going to be the 1.8 matching up with the 28.2. Now, since I'm doing large over small, it's going to be 28.2 over 1.8. Now we just have to solve it. So x over 0.8, to get rid of the 0.8, we multiply both sides by 0.8. So this gives us x over 0.8 times 0.8. Those cancel, leaving me with just x. And of course, 28 over 2 divided by 1.4 multiplied by 0.8 gives me 12.53. So the anchor is 12.53 meters on the water. I kind of forgot to cover that up, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so if you have your assignment, if you have any trouble, you can get a hold of me, and we'll see how things go.